Jehovih is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovih wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmos. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry some, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry some, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the earth took shape, new sound of sight, the creator sliced the time in the day and night. He breathed through void till the ether stirred, then sent angels and prophets to teach his word. Motion, notion, devotion aligned, encoded design in the spine of time. Wind wrote signs on the breath of the prime, S intertwined with the flesh of the line. Quicken the killer, conceiver entwined, dual divine, the ether confined, two entities birthed, corporate S, life compressed in the vortex nest, spirit in the mist, physics resist, matter persist in Jehovah's fist, dust kiss flame, clay became twist, anatomy gift from the infinite list, male and female named through air, EOE, that sacred blare, not beast, not star, not anywhere but the whisper of wind as a builder's prayer. Vortex speak, the sequence hum, the life resume. From void to bloom, to eat the groom, creation's womb. Every tune in the flames plume, a living rune. If your soul need food, here's what you consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen.
Three states of worlds I made, corporeal terrain, an atmosphere and chain to Etherian planes, ether the pure, obscure domain, the ghost of light, free the soul from shame, atmosphere, field and flow, AGA, nebula glow, currents collide where the comets go, gravity bend with the vortices, so sound became law, law gave sight, and every soul aligned in Jehovah's light. His love gave reason and the heart retune. If your body need rest, here's the text to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry song. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry song. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the clay inhaled the spark, the plan was grand. See moose spun pulse through the dust of man. Ether expand to where the blueprint ran. Spirit tied to flesh by Jehovah's hand. Angels intelligent warm. Walk with Azu where the light was born. Heaven breathed with immortal form. Lord met love and the veil was torn. The seed took root in the coil's perfume. Sense evolved under the sun and the moon. Time broke the sleep of a deep commune. And now man learns pattern from teeth to spoon. From breath to balance, the most high drop clues. From speech and sequence, the spirit world moved from page to prophecy. Through mahogany hues. If your mind need peace, here's the key to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah.
Right back like I left something. It's your hostess with the mostest. Holding that fire like a roach clip, your naga, your nerve. Fresh up off of that curved jelly, gem preserve. Young Cosmonian right back up in here. Anakwakaiki, the cloud kicker. Hey, just wanted to come in with a little quick build, man. I just wanted to get in, share a little, book from a guy that we've been on for a while around here. You dig what I'm saying? And one of the reasons it was so easy to defeat the God is like people is the brother Walter Russell. You dig what I'm saying? And one of the further readings of his text, which I need to share that too. 1 second, y'all. Let me go in here and let me see if I can. How do I download this? Okay. 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 I'm gonna figure out a way to share this in the chat, but it's a free PDF now. They don't even know that they messed up when they released this thing. You dig what I'm saying? This is Walter Russell's The Universal Mind. I got a little breakdown on Walter Russell. I was going to show it before, but I'm going to just wait to the end and just dive into the book real quick and just get to reading. Right? This is chapter 4, right? And I'm going to probably do a couple vids on just the Universal One and Walter Russell and his ideas of the nature of creation and the universe in and of itself amazingly aligns with modern science, and even more impressively with Owaspy, especially when Owaspy was breaking down the information 45, almost 50 years before Walter Russell stepped onto the scene and start laying down his ideas that he says were inspired, right, by angelic forces, other than his own self. He had got the knowledge and was able to write it down himself, but he said overall idea he was inspired through angelic forces, right? So let's just jump right into it. This is chapter 4 of the Universal One, called The Thinking Mind by Walter Russell. It says, the process of thinking is a simple one. It is a swing of the cosmic pendulum from the stability of mind substance to apparent instability and back again to stability. The registration of this effect in the ocean of the universal mind is contained within the form of an elongated sphere. Remember, when the vortex first is created, it is elongated. Right? The registration of this effect in the ocean of the universal mind is contained within the form of the elongated sphere, the beginning of the vortex. And all its variability and complexity may be read two exactly opposite spiral waves within two halves of that sphere. Funny, just like a brain, right? But also like vortex. But remember, all energy spirals, all motion moves spirally. Watch this. Light, just like Owaspy been telling you, it's all one thing, right? Just depending on size, density, place, and relative speed, right? Light, heat, electricity, magnetism, form, crystallization, sound, mass, the elements and compounds of elements, time, space, attraction, gravitation, force, energy, inertia, sex, life, death, sleep, memory, the souls, and the what? The souls of all things, and the complex ideas of all things. In fact, all that man can comprehend of this universe can be spelled out in their beginnings on these two opposing spiral waves within one sphere, and on through to their endings in 9 other increasingly larger, though flattening spheres or elliptoids, just like Owaspy tells you. In the beginning, the vortexes tend to be elongated, but tends to spirality and its globular nature, right? These two opposing spiral. Oh, right here too. I wanted to point this out. This was something that was stuck out when it said right here that the soul of all things, right? We know who the soul of all is, right? Let's get right into it, right? He said, or let's start from the top. All was, all is, all shall ever be. Huh? First of all, man, I'm tripping. Love, light, balance out there to y'all, man. Peace to the righteous gods, Nirvanian gods, created gang in this thing, man. Your big bro Cosmos just coming through, man. Just love and light to y'all real quick, man. All praise to the ever-present creator. The one who always was, is, and ever shall be. And the all spoke, and the motion was and is and ever shall be. And being positive was called he and him. We're talking about force. We're not talking about having a penis. Because he is positive as in force, which means to move forward, right? This is why they call the creator him, he, right? The all motion is his speech. Well, we need to ask the question then, are all things in motion? Yes, but watch this. He said, I am, and he comprehended all things, the seen and the unseen, nor is there anything in all the universe that is not part of him. Sounds like a universal one to me. Also, remember what we're looking at. Let me go back, right? All space, time, attraction, gravitation, force, energy, all that. Sleep, memory, what the souls of all things and complex ideas of all things. In fact, all that man can comprehend of this universe can be spelled out in their beginnings on the opposing spiral waves within one sphere. We call this centrifugal and centripetal. We call this strong and weak. Nuclear force. And on through their endings in the 9 other increasing elliptoids. But watch this. The soul, we talking about the soul of all things. Who is the soul of all things? In the book of the Creator, it says, there is nothing in the universe that is not part of him. And he said, in it. Don't get stuck on that. We understand that they're talking about in his creative state, in his positive energetic form, the he of electricity or male. He said, I am the soul of all, and all that is seen or anything that you can see is just part of my person and my body. So things like planets, things like suns, things like light, right? There are just a part, a manifestation of his person and his body, not the creator. They are all parts of the creation. But for what we want to focus on here is right here, where the creator says in the book of the creator, I am the soul of all. These two opposing spiral waves within one sphere represent the entire simple process of thinking. sort of like how your brain is structured, works in the same way. The same way that the spiraling motion moves energy in a spiraling pattern. Hmm? Form is following function. Function is creating form. Hmm? The simple process of thinking is repeated exactly in 10 octaves, but with periodic variability and complexity of registered effect. All variability and complexity of registered effect is orderly, in variation and complication, and thus are all effects comprehensible to that man who has knowledge of the cause of those effects. Well, Creator says he is the cause of all causes. So the man who understands the Great Spirit is indeed the most learned. Mhm. Everywhere throughout its entirety, the mind's substance is in constant agitation, undergoing orderly process of thinking. The force called thinking. So, he's saying what we know as thinking isn't. Let's see what he's saying. The force called thinking, which impels mind into concentration and decentration in sequence, is the only energy of the universe. Wow. Does says, he said, I am thinking. There is no other energy. The universe is mind only. The universal constant of energy registers in the substance of mind, the illusions caused by the thinking of mind. Let me run that back. There is no other energy. The universe is mind only. The universal constant of energy registers in the field of mind, the illusions caused by the thinking of mind. Every microscopic point in the divine mind becomes the center of the universe of mind. With its first impulse of the act of thinking, for with this first impulse is form born into a universe which is without form. This would also prove that a creator couldn't think himself into existence. He would just have to always have been, always be, and always continue. Didn't we just read that all was, all is, all ever shall be? So even thinking, this is crazy. Thinking would be before life. Oof. And life would be before just about everything. Life is not dependent upon matter. It just is. I don't think there was a time where life didn't exist. But what had to come first? The all thing. This is why they say all was, is, ever shall be. The all motion was his speech. it goes on to say, by virtue of my presence, all things are. By virtue of my presence, what is? Life is. Also, the only thing that existed before the creator or existed before life is the creator. And because he is, life is. He says, by virtue of his presence, because he's literally everywhere, the living are brought into forth in the life. I am the quickener, the mover, the creator, the destroyer. I am first, I am last. From that explosive, reactive, generic, right? Or what we would call the so-called breathing, or the condensing and expanding, or the fusion and fission of all things, not only just our earth and atmosphere, solar system, but of all things, right? That would be the object pulse. So from that center, the explosive, reactive, and generic radiative electromagnetic disturbance, which constitutes the process of thinking, reproduces itself throughout the entirety of the universe at an incomprehensible speed in waves of creating light units or photons. Which waves, right, return again to that exact center, right? This is that breathing in, condensing, right? They tell you about E equals MC squared and how energy radiates from matter. Well, how do you get energy into matter first? Right? That is the great pulse. And that also debunks the idea of gravity. Because gravity is not a pull from the center, is a push from the extremities. Right? Thinking is an action followed by a reaction of that action. The action of thinking constitutes a series of events in sequence. All was, all is, all shall ever be. That is past, present, and future. That is all space and time. You can't have time without events to measure the time between. Or even time is illusory. The intervals between events. Look, I swear I didn't read this. I swear I didn't read this today. I didn't read the universal one yet. I read every other one but this one. I'm gonna bring out the sex, nature, universe too. I'm gonna show y'all some stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Once I, just getting my groove back. You dig what I'm saying? Because a lot of stuff been going on lately. You dig what I'm saying? Just getting the rhythm and timing back. You dig what I'm saying? And adjusting different people's schedules and all that stuff, you know what I mean? It just get hard sometimes to just sit down and be able to break it down, you dig, and just find the time. So sometimes you just got to make time. So, man, thank y'all for, just coming through, man. Show some love, man. Support the channel. You dig what I'm saying? I don't ask for cash apps or nothing like that, but you dig what I'm saying? I totally appreciate it. It's needed. You dig what I'm saying? Sometimes I got to buy stuff and do things, and You dig what I'm saying? If I could have more time on my hands, I would do more. But it is what it is. You dig what I'm saying? Till we get this machine rolling like like I know it will, you know. We just got to keep making it happen. Watch this. I'm going to go back and read it again. Thinking is an action followed by a reaction of that action. The action of thinking constitutes a series of events in sequence. This is time. The intervals between these events in sequence constitute that effect of motion. So time is is a consequence or effect of the vortex. Sheesh. Without a sequence of events, time could not be, for there would be nothing to mark time. Time begins with the action of thinking. It is an effect which appears with motion in opposition and disappears into motion in inertia. That's action reaction. Through motion. Time begins with the action of thinking. It is an effect which appears with motion in opposition. And disappears into motion in inertia. For instance, motion in opposition would be a plane taxiing down the runway, building up speed, right? That would be an example of motion in opposition because it is moving against the air, right? But because of the reaction to that motion, right, upon the body of the plane, right, or that motion in opposition to the air causes what we know as lift, right? But through that lift or that disappearance of motion in opposition, we get motion in inertia, right? Causing lift, causing the plane to go into the air and move forward. Spirally, by the way. Y'all look at a jet engine, how they work. Right? But it is this motion in opposition to physical form, right, that causes the motion in inertia, right? Its effect or reaction, right? The moving the object through air causes a lift sensation, which would be the motion in inertia. The events in sequence which give birth to that appearance called time are opposing pulsations of generative and radiative light. These opposing pulsations give dimension and form to that which man calls life. To man, There is no life without form. Huh? Watch what he say. But form and dimension are fleeting, while life is eternal. Life is merely the action of thinking. Sheesh, Daryl Cosma. Wait till y'all see what this boy got cooking for you. He's a madman. My brother is insane. Yeah, listen, man. Wait till y'all see the content. Don't listen. Daryl Cosma takes this idea and cranks it up to 1,000. Right? While Russell makes these statements with sincere understanding, right? And he's breaking it down the best way he knows how. Daryl Cosma goes on to prove what Walter Russell is saying is true. It's a difference, because a lot of the things in 1926 were speculation. They thought Russell was wrong. He was absolutely right. But this is how you know he didn't get his understanding from Owaspy, because it doesn't go on to give the who, what, when, where, why of Walter Russell being white, right. And that's what Owaspy does. It's not going to tell you Walter Russell is right, right? It's not just going to do that. It's going to show you who, when, where, why, and with what that Walter Russell is right. That's Owaspy's purpose. Life is merely the action of thinking, and thinking is as eternal as the thinking substance of mind is eternal. Now, he's also talking about the function, but he's also talking about, in a physical basis, the ether. Universal thinking is rhythmic thinking. I agree. If y'all agree with that, right? If y'all agree with that, this is what they were talking about, getting in touch with your ancestors would look like. This is what getting back in touch with nature looks like. This is what grounding looks like. It's rhythmic thinking. You're getting back in touch with the pulse of what? The pulse of what? Of all corporality. Remember, there's the condensing part. There's a pushing and a pulling. It's centrifugal and centripetal. It's left and right. It's north and south. It's east and west. It's up and, you see what I'm saying? So it's condenses and also dissolves. The entire substance, and this substance that they're talking about of this universal mind, is ether, right? Ether is a fluid. Ether even sublimates the greatest fluid on the elemental periodic table, hydrogen. It's what sublimates it. It's also what allows two parts of hydrogen to attach to an atomic atom of oxygen. This is why we different. Because we're not just telling you we know, we showing you that we know. Huh? The entire substance of universal mind is thinking in varying but orderly rhythmic meter, or timing. That's a meter. 4 count. Same way you keep what? A meter is the same way you keep what? Time. Huh? The meter of the universal thinking is measurable in its orderliness throughout the entirety of the universal substance. Huh? The tempo of the cosmic rhythmic meter of thinking is absolute. Is this the same reason why they say the rules of prophecy are absolute? Because if it's based on a rhythmic meter, guess what it's also based on? Mathematics. In the illusory substance of time. Because I can do the tempo and sing a song. I can do the same. Did I actually speed time up? No. Time is consistent, right? The motion, the rhythmic meter changed. All thinking is expressed in measurable and opposing impulses of opposing motion. Eesh. Left, right brain. All motion is action and reaction, or electricity and magnetism, or he and her, or male and female, or ohm, seen, unseen. Chapter 5, the process of thinking. The action impulse and the reaction impulse of the thinking process are alternating between the apparent opposites known as generation and radiation. Oh, this is your so-called breathing in and breathing out. E equals MC radiation. What gives you your generation? M equals EC squared. Remember, we're telling you how the energy go out. How does it get in? Generation and radiation are opposites. Come on, man. How many times Cosmon then got up here with the left and right, the up and down, the high, the low, the opposites? This apparent duality. How long we been talking about that, y'all? Forever. Forever. Dig what I'm saying? So these concepts, you dig what I'm saying, to the faith, this should not be, in fact, new, right? If they give you new ways of thinking about it, that's just your inspiration from the creator to take what we bringing out right now to the next level. Because it don't stop with me. I'm not the end all be all. You better hope I ain't. I'm going to let you down. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not the end all be all. I don't know it all. And guess what? Neither do you. So we gonna need each other. This is why you gotta just give the information and allow people to build on it themselves, because they're going to look at it in a total different way than you, which may even spark you in turn to have a total different outlook and take on some of the things that you may have had even brought out before, to expand it, or sometimes totally scrap an idea. We're not afraid of that. We're not afraid to be wrong, right? But we also not afraid to prove that we are absolutely correct objectively. Huh? You got to be willing to strap them on, man. Huh? Some intestinal fortitude. Huh? Yeah, Brother Nasir. Time is measured with motion, but actually time is measured by events. Time is an effect of motion. It's a difference. Huh? Motion is measured in time. Time is measured in events. Right? Now you see how that worked? The brother sparked me. You dig what I'm talking about? With his interpretation and way of seeing it. And you dig what I'm talking about? It allowed me to, bring clarity. And he ain't, in a sense, wrong. Right? Now, they are intrinsically tied. Time and motion. Right? But time is an effect of motion. Time itself is not, in fact, measured in motion. Right? Time itself is measured by events. Huh? Yep. The second law of thermodynamics. An object in motion will tend to stay in motion until acted upon by an outside force. An object not in motion tends to stay not in motion until acted upon by outside force. Exactly. Right? I ain't add on to nothing. No, I didn't add on anything. Right? Truth just is, bro. I'm just pointing it out, family. You dig what I'm saying? He's not wrong. We gotta be able to stop being so sensitive. You dig what I'm saying? Well, I would disagree, Brother Naeem, Namir. I would disagree. I think life exists before motion. Motion is a telltale sign of life. I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. You did what I'm talking about. You're not wrong. We're just looking at it different ways. You know what I mean? Yeah, he sparked. Yeah. He sparked it. You dig what I'm talking about? And see, that's what we got to do. He got to be able to spark me. I spark him. He spark me. We come back and forth. You know what I mean? And we don't. The thing is, it's all one, because if we keep digging deeper, we're saying the same thing. You know what I mean? And I think this is what me and the brother understand, right? You know, let's get back into some of this though, real quick. Generation and radiation are opposites, which constitute the appearance of motion in opposition. Generation is the attractive, gravitative, positive, electric, male force. You dig what I'm talking about? Just like they explain, one of the reasons why they call the Great Spirit he and him. We're talking about force, right? Force is also, or energy, is also an effect of motion. None of it happens without motion. Remember what the Creator said. Remember what the Creator said. What is his speech? What is the speech of the Creator? All motion is his speech. This came out almost 50 years. How will Wasp even know this? This is before atoms. They were still calling atoms corpuscles, right? This is before the hurt. This is James Clerk Maxwell trying to get some recognition. In a couple of years, 5 years later, after Owaspy dropped this, here come your boy Einstein rewriting the theory of relativity. Huh? And we don't knock Einstein because he got half the problem right. Yeah, he did. He can tell you about the positive force, or the force that moves away. Thermal radiation, radiating energy. He can tell you all about that. Right? But he can't tell you how that energy got in there. And he didn't know for a fact. That all motion, right, is the speech of the Creator, right? Generation is the attractive, gravitative, positive electric force, and radiation is the repulsive, emanative, negative, magnetic force, right? These are not Creator. These are effects of motion, right? Creator creates the motion and the life prior to the energy to create it is even created. All motion, whether in opposition or in inertia, is in equilibrium. That is to say, the amount of energy expended in any two opposite swings of the cosmic pendulum is always quantitatively constant. One of the ways you would prove that is that the overall energetic nature of our solar system is zero. Meaning that it's balanced magnetically and balanced electric wise, but also in push and pull, also in centripetal force, also in strong and weak force. Balanced to the point of in a sense. You dig what I'm saying? Or being perfect enough to produce corporeality. All motion, whether in opposition or in inertia, is in equilibrium. That is to say that the energy expended in any two opposite swings of the cosmic pendulum is always quantitatively constant. The apparent variation is in the dimension of the two opposing swings. and is not of the constant of energy. Ooh. The amount of generative and radiative energies expended in the two opposing oscillations. Remember, oscillations, we're talking about the spiraling vortexian nature of all motion, which spirals and spins all energy. It is this vortexian or oscillating or spiraling motion. That is the force, the mechanism, right? That is the mechanism for creation. This mechanism is called vortex. The amount of generative and radiative energies expended in the two anywhere in the entire 10 octaves, when added together, total the same in the amount of energy expended. This is why you have an overall total of 0 in the universe. Motion and inertia is characterized by an absolute lack of what man calls valence, which is grabbing power or uniting power. All of the elements of matter in motion in opposition have this uniting power in varying degree or periodicity, just as they have periodicity in electromagnetic charge and other variations. Hence, a further reason for disassociating the inert gases or master tones from the elements, right? The in a sense, the spin, right, is not the substance that the spin creates. If that makes sense, hit me with a 1 in the chat. Right? The vortex is not necessarily the substance it creates. Is the vortex electricity? No, not necessarily. But electricity is an effect of its motion. Is it magnetic? No, not necessarily. But magnetism is an effect of its motion. Opposing impulses of thinking are generated out of inertia and radiated back into equalization in inertia. These impulses are alternating between generation and radiation in a periodicity of preponderance, which periodicity is measurable by man in many ways. One being the speed. All matter, or density also, all matter is apparently evolving and devolving. Dang, that reminds me, he did just say, what? He said, I am the quickener, the mover, the creator, and the destroyer. Right? Which aligns with all things at all times are being created and destroyed. Or, like Walter Russell puts it, all matter is apparently evolving and devolving into the illusion of many substances and many dimensions, like our periodic table. So-called solids of matters are variations of apparent states of motion, registering in form, the idea of thinking mind, and sustained in their appearance as solids of matter by electric preponderance over magnetism, right? And these are points of inertia where equilibrium is found. And in those states of motion, you got different states of matter. For instance, at one inertial point, you'll have ice. At another one, it'll turn to water. At another one, it'll turn to gas. At another, it'll turn into plasma. At another, it'll turn into ether. Huh? If you kind of look at this like a curving S pattern, but you fold it on itself, it's still a spiraling vortexian spheroid oscillating, right? Moving in a vortexian pattern, or like a whirlwind. Yeah. Funny, all energy moves the same way. The electric nature of matter and its progressive periodicity and variation of electromagnetic charge, rotation of its light units, and other periodicities will be written down with more exactness when the process of thinking is more explicitly written down and charted. Basically, he's saying when the science get better, they'll see what he's saying. He was right. Suffice it here to say that thinking is the electrogenerative action, and magneto-radiative reaction of mind. Thinking is a simple process of very complex effects, the sequence of which will be written in its proper place. The electromagnetic opposition of mind, as expressed in the process of thinking, is the source of all the energy of the universe. So remember, you can't have electromagnetism without what first, y'all? Hit me in the chat. Hit me in the chat. You can't have electromagnetism or energy or force of any kind without what first, y'all? There we go, Judah Vaughn. There we go. Motion. That motion is vortexian. It is spiraling. It is oscillating. There we go, Judah Vaughn. They're going to have problems with my youngster. Did what I'm talking about? They're going to have problems with him. Ooh, excuse me. Early in the morning off this cushion, this coffee, y'all, blowing on these banana runts, right? Thinking, using my thinking mind early in the morning. I'm going to go back and read it. The electromagnetic opposition of mind, as expressed in the process of thinking, is the source of all of the energy in the universe. So, right, they tell you motion creates energy. And they're right. Well, what creates the motion? Sound. What creates the sound? thought. Didn't he say, I am? And then motion started? So he had to think I am and then say I am. So that's thought, sound. Guess what? Life already existed. Ooh. See, a lot of people think that when you say creation, right? They think, you dig what I'm talking about, or and rightly so, that we talking about just our planet, our sun, our solar system. There are trillions of quadrillions of solar system stars with habitable planets. If only 0.1%, right? Not even 1% of all, 0.1% of all planets or galaxies that just can be seen, right, are have an inhabitable planet. Well, then that would be billions of civilizations and habitable planets with man-like entities on them. Not even 1%, a tenth of 1%. Thinking then is the process of generation and motion in variable opposition out of a state of maximum motion in non-variable inertia and of radiation back again into that state. This is that in and out. This is that give and that take. This is that reciprocation. This is why they say the planet tends to breathe or has a heartbeat. Huh? Oh, y'all think I'm lying? Oh, y'all don't think the planet has a heartbeat? Y'all just think Cosmo just be making up stuff, don't y'all? Huh? Watch this. Huh? Watch this. Watch this. I asked a simple question. They be thinking I'm lying till I punch on them. I know it sounds crazy, but truth is crazier than fiction. Truth is way more amazing. Right? I asked a simple question. Does the planet have a heartbeat? Yes. Earth has a heartbeat, or what? A pulse. If energy is only going out radiating, it's not pulsating. That means something has to be coming in and something going out to pulsate. Earth has a heartbeat, but it's a scientific phenomenon detected by seismometers, not a biological one. How do they know? Right? Ain't the precursor or the sign of life motion? Huh? Ain't motion a sign of life? Well, our planet spins, don't it? Well, it's alive too. Yes, Earth has a heartbeat, but it's a scientific phenomenon detected by seismometers, not a biological one, with two main types: a subtle rhythmic 26-second microseismic pulse. Every 26 seconds, it goes boom, boom. From ocean, crustal activity, and a very slow, ancient 27.5 million year geologic pulse of major volcanic extinction events. both of which puzzle scientists. Yeah, I know. You want me to tell you why it puzzles scientists? Because they're trying to separate spirituality and science. They're trying to separate the creator from the creation, and it doesn't work that way. It's not till you understand Richard Milley till you can understand overstand his watches. It's not till you can start understanding creator till you can overstand his creation. Yeah, it should have a pulse. If it's alive, right? If it's moving, right? Well, then, yes. For all intents and purposes, the planet is alive. I don't be making this up, y'all. Let me see. Watch this. Now, the inertial line is that hypothetical line of absolute non-opposition between the oscillations of two opposing forces of motion. At the inertial line, the two opposing forces are neutralized and in equilibrium. At the inertial line, there is no force back of motion, but there is the impetus of the magnetic radiative pulsation, which continues motion across the inertial line without force. Oh, like magnet. Okay, like centrifugal and centripetal. Okay, I get it. Once across the line, motion is continued by the electrogenerative pulsation until magnetic conquest causes it to rebound. Here's your pulse. Interesting. That state of motion, which continues motion without force, which is the second law of dynamics. Remember, the state of motion, which continues motion without force back of it, will be known as inertial energy. The inertial line or plane might be characterized as the axis, along which wave expressions of the universal constant of energy are born. The mechanic might characterize it as the dead center. Ooh-wee. What would be the dead center of our atmosphere? The planet. What would be the dead center of our solar system? The sun. What would be at the dead center of an atom? Same thing, same shape. Could it be a nucleus? Maybe the micro reflects the macro and the macro reflects the micro. The mechanic might characterize it as the dead center between force and force where no force exists in the center, correct? This point, right, can only be passed by the impetus given to an object in motion prior to its arrival at that point. This is the force of vortex. It is always towards its what? Its center. Motion is continuous as thinking is continuous. That's a bar. That's a bar. Motion is continuous as thinking is bars. The universe breathes. Y'all be thinking Cosmo making this stuff up. I know it be sounding crazy. But if the white man tell y'all, y'all will go ahead and believe it. Right? So I gotta bring him, right, to show y'all that I ain't capping. Right? And that even what I'm saying has more variation and detail. Right? But in the end of the day, he got a point. There is a universal one, because just like me and the brother Nasir were having a, an intellectual understanding. You dig what I'm talking about? That is a give and a take. A universal breath. That's an inhaling and an exhaling. The ability to perceive that, right, is called intelligence. To experience it is called knowledge. To put that knowledge into right form and use, right, it's wisdom. And to know when to use what knowledge, why, when, where, is discernment. Funny, they seem to be all one too. The universe breathes. Breathe. Oh, one into the, two into the, then you gotta breathe. The universe breathes, inhaling and exhaling as man breathes. And as every light unit, atom and molecule breathes, in the firmament above and the water below breathes. Exhalation and inhalation in sequence is a characteristic of all phenomena of matter. Motion is caused by the impulses of thinking. Sheesh. The action and the reaction. The thought, I am. Motion, energy, substance. Sound creates motion, creates force, creates substance. Shout out Kev Capone, man. We gonna knock that song of creation out, man. You dig what I'm saying? That the way of creation. We'll knock that song out, man. Shout out Kev Capone. Motion is caused by the sequence of opposing impulses of thinking. All direction of motion and effects of motion are governed by these equally balanced, gravitative and repulsive, and equally balanced decelerative and accelerative forces. There we go. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna read that again because he right on that. Hey man, say man, I don't look at color and all that. Who telling the most truth? That's who I'm rocking with. Right? Motion is caused by the sequence of opposing impulses of thinking. So-called positive, negative. All direction of motion and effects of motion are governed by these equally balanced gravitative and repulsive and equally balanced decelerative and accelerative forces. That's dope. The opposition of the two apparently opposing forces, which cause apparently opposite impulses, forms spiral waves along which the idea in thinking is registered. The registered idea of thinking is expressed gravitatively in what man calls the elements of matter, and repulsively in what man calls the magnetic flow or magnetic lines of force in hereto unknown magnetic orbits. They didn't even know. All elements of matter are radiative or radioactive, just as all matter, all elements of matter are radiative or radioactive, just as all matter is generative or generoactive. Matter. Radio. Okay. Oh. Okay. All the elements of matter are radioactive, just as all matter is generative or able to produce. Electrically generating elements and magnetically radiating lines of force are the same force exerted in apparently opposite directions, right? 180 degrees from each other, right? Because energy is always moving in the opposite, right? A continuous opposite is a sphere. It's a circle. It's a vortex. It's the shape of an atom. Electrically generating elements and magnetically radiating lines of force are the same force exerted in apparently opposite directions, male and female. You can't even produce an electric field without a magnetic force in motion. You can't produce a electric field without magnetism in motion. You can't produce a magnetic field without electricity in motion. They are the same force. How did he know that in 1926? Right? How did he know in 1926? Well, marvel at this. How did a WASPy know it 45 years before that in 1881? You think a white boy from Ohio, a dentist, yeah, right, knew all this? And then how does 45 years later another guy come and regurgitate it, but not as eloquently, not as precise as the guy who says that the information wasn't his and it was gleaned through automatic writing. Huh? So the real scientist who's really in here doing the work, right? He got a breakdown that's correct, but it's not even as specific or clear as the guy who knows nothing about science. How did OWASP know this in 1881? Huh. Mm. Electrically generating elements and magnetically radiating lines of force are the same force. Huh? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I've seen this somewhere before. I've seen it before. Hold on. That sounds like something I didn't read somewhere before. Hold on 1 second. Let me show y'all this. Now, remember it said electrically generating elements and magnetically radiating lines of force are the same force exerted in apparently opposite directions. The former is centripetal. Remember, that's a spin. And its direction is towards what? The nucleocenter of the closing spiral. This is why you get the magnetism of the earth going north and south. This is why magnetic north moves. This is why the greatest force of energetic force is towards the earth's equator, or its equator. Huh? The weaker force, right, is the magnetic force and is centripetal, moving towards the center, south to north. And because of this magnetic energy dumped into the planet, right, you get what is called your aurora borealis. Also why magnetic north moves, because Earth moves. Huh? The former is centripetal in its direction towards the nucleocenter of the closing spiral. The latter is centrifugal. Come on, man. How many times I got to keep telling you this? Now, Walter, this dude, or Walter Russell, coming back, we reaching back 100 years. And he doubling down on what Cosmom been saying for years before y'all knew who this dude was. But they do got a song say you got to use what you got. Sometimes you got to use what you got to get what you want. My point is to get the truth out. Y'all gonna make the decision on your own. Faith is already know what's up. Peace to the gang. Huh? Shout out to all the false God killers. That great Aquan race. Huh? The latter is centrifugal and its direction is away from the center. Toward the opening spiral. Their difference is but a rising or lowering of potential. Proving that even where there is so-called no energetic force, there is actually something there. Proving again, Creator's words, all was, all is, all shall ever be, because there's nothing outside of all. He said, by my presence, things are. One always becomes the other. Each is the cause of the other. Radioactivity is a lowering of potential into higher octaves of elements of greater speed but lesser power. General activity is the increasing of potential into lower octaves of greater power and lesser speed. So even in the places where they say the proof that creator is all and there ain't nothing outside of all, the proof that he or it exists is that there is no such thing as nothing. If you are the all, right? And all things are and forever shall be, right? And there is nothing outside of all, right? Well, then the fact that the creator is all, objectively, you would prove that by showing that there is no such as nothing in the universe. That's how you would prove a creator is all things, all encompassing, omnipotent, omnipresent. Because even in the places where they quote unquote have space, there is no such thing as no thing in that space. There's oxygen, hydrogen, photons. Even in a vacuum, there are photons. So the fact that there is no such thing as nothing proves that all things have been created by the one who created all. Right? All things are of him. Right? Proof of that, there ain't no such thing as nothing. Right? General activity builds the elements. Radioactivity tears them apart. The elements are composed of apparently separate particles in motion, which shall henceforth be called light units or corpuscles. Remember, they hadn't got atoms all the way down yet. They hadn't got the light package of the photon down yet. He called them light units, and then went back to the old 1880s version of what an atom would be then, a corpuscle. So how is Owaspi talking about atoms, atomic structure, quantum physics, and all that stuff in 1881 before anybody knew it existed? Them is the questions we need to ask. The spiral general radiative waves are the medium. Oh, come on, James Clerk Maxwell. Huh? The spiral general radio, like they call light, sound, waves are the medium of reproduction of idea thought in the entirety of the universe. All idea of mind produced by thinking is reproduced throughout the entirety of the universe of mind in measurable ways of electromagnetic opposition. These apparently opposing general radiative waves constitute the creative and decreating universe of integrating and disintegrating elements, right? And look, it says all direction is curved, all motion is spiral. How Listen, this dude's something else, man. Look at that vortex. You see it? You see it? All direction is curved. All is spiral. And the all motion is his speech. The generative center of the rising potential is the X in the middle, right? The law says in neuroactive and radioactive lines of force, what? Depart from each other at 180 degrees. But if it's radiating, it must, right, go in every direction and its opposite. So it's spiraling. This is the endothermal charging force, right? The generating force. This is the degenerating, the discharging, disintegrating force, all within the vortex. Huh? It's E equals MC squared, and it's M equals EC squared. Huh? All at once, right? And remember, they was talking about those inertial planes, right? An inertial plane of equal pressure, which lies between any two masses. This is how 2 parts of hydrogen and with 1 part of oxygen, because at an internal spot, right, they become the same, right? Just like, or they just change form, right? Remember, down here would be your ice. At the inertial plane, at the lowest inertial plane, this ice will turn into water. And if you degenerate it, right, or you integrate it more, it'll turn into ice. If you disintegrate it or make it go up, it'll get change form and turn into liquid. If you do it again, it'll turn into a gas, right? The law, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Look, the generative center of the accumulating mass, this is just the exact same thing with the exact same way. Micro, macro, as above, so below, of our cosmic world and our corporeal world. Because this is how our earth is made. It's not by gravity pulling things towards the center. It is by exerting force and pressure from the outside towards the inside where there is none, right? That causes mass. Look, generative center of accumulating mass, right? It's in the center. This is just like our atmosphere. In the middle of it would be our planet. Look at this. Let's take a step up, go even larger. This would be our solar system, right? We would say this line right here would be Mars, Venus, Earth, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. You see what I'm saying? It's the same spiraling vortexian force as our solar system, let alone our galaxy. It's doing it too. We can just keep leveling up, right? But in the center, there is a body, an accumulating mass that in the end produces light, or something that can be seen, right? It says mass is an accumulation of the universal constant of energy into higher potential. The greater the mass, the greater the potential. Mass accumulates inductively along the centripetal lines of closing spirals and is rotated by the impact of general active force. Mass dissipates conductively along centrifugal lines of opening spirals and is rotated by the expulsion of radioactive force. These opposite forces are the cause of rotation of mass. But even in the rotation of mass, it must be in a substance. It must have a medium. What is this medium that sublimates all things? He says this is a chart for describing the electromagnetic process of mass formation. All mass is accumulated centripetally by the general active gravitate, attractive power of electricity, and is dissipated centrifugally by the radioactive repelling power of magnetism. If y'all getting a little something up out of this, man, thumb up the video, man. You know, we just gonna keep cooking, I guess. I think that I'm gonna just stop it after this. Let me see. I think I got, yeah, because this stuff get deep. Let me see. Okay, let me go right here. Any questions before we go on? Any questions or anything, y'all? Right. Watch this. And see, the creator is the potential. Remember, he said he the quickener, the mover. Right? Said by his presence. So even the potentiality of something happening is always there. Why? Because creator is everywhere. What y'all like to call chemical reactions only happen because this nigga here. Yeah. All right, what does this say? Let's go back up here. These apparently opposing general radiative waves constitute the creating and decreating universe of integrating and disintegrating elements of potential energy, which man called the created physical universe. Man has measured the speed at which the energy of light appears to travel a long ways as 186,400 miles per second. This measure is the highest measure of perceptible impulses of universal living. Excuse me, dang. This is the measure of energy reproduction, which man calls the speed of light. Man's concept of the speed of light as being uniform is a wrong concept. Ooh-wee. Like we telling you, it don't move. Ooh, Lord. Oh, don't come here with that blasphemy, Cosmonian. Yeah. We'll get into it. right? Light is perceived. It ain't moving. It's just reacted upon. And by your perception of it is as fast as it moves away from you. Oh, wait. So light doesn't actually move, it's just revealed. Sheesh. Man's concept of the speed of light as being uniform is a wrong concept. To man, light is incandescent luminosity. To man, that which is not glowingly incandescent is not light. For the most part, he's right, but we understand about the electromagnetic spectrum, the electromagnetic field, and electromagnetic radiation, by the way, which are not the same thing. One is generated by the other, right? One gauges the other, but guess what? Not the field, not the radiation, or the spectrum can exist without motion. This is how I was killing that boy. Boy, I beat that boy. I knew I beat his socks off his feet. All matter is light. Ooh, so that disqualifies your God if you saying God is the creator. Light is a manifestation of matter in motion. Oh, wow. Right? This is why it interacts, sort of. Right? All matter is light. The universe is one of light. Solids of matter, heavy, dark, and cold, are as much light as flaming Arcturus. So that will lead us back into the Jaya Nebula. Luminosity is but a state of intensely unequalized and opposing motion, sustained in a state of unequalized motion by the generation of high pressures. It is but one state of the substance of mind in motion, a state which is within a limited range of electromagnetic charge, temperature, and opposition, a range which varies in intensity in each octave, but which runs the whole gamut of its limitations in the 10-octave cycle. I'm starting to think that 10 octave is actually 11. So it would make a whole bunch of sense, right? If it was the 11 and it went right along with the odic rate. Might need to look into that, right? Incandescent luminosity is but the state of maximum opposition of the two apparent opposing forces, and a state in which radiative resistance to generation is at its maximum. A state in which contraction by maximum general activity, accumulation of time into power, is resisting expansion by radiative dispensation of power into time, of which much will be written in its proper place, but we would call is the same action that produces light in a light bulb. The radiative dispensation of power into time, light. This is why they believe that there is a light speed. Incandescent luminosity is the state of motion, which will be known as the high potential of a system or an octave. It is the meeting place of centripetal and centrifugal forces in the middle, y'all, where there is no force. So if the greatest force is east and west, and the weaker forces north and south, right? Where is there a point of inertia or equilibrium? It's in the middle. Same thing with our planet. It is the meeting place of the centripetal and centrifugal forces of preponderantly male and preponderantly female, or electric and magnetic, right? Of maximum I'm keep telling y'all, I don't be making this up. Electric magnetic opposition. Electromagnetic opposition. Huh? Preponderantly male electricity and preponderantly female of maximum electromagnetivity, and it is the state of maximum heat. It is the turning point where the power of electricity to generate mind substance into the appearance of form yields to the power of magnetism to radiate it back into the disappearance of form. Right? Man's speed of light is the speed at which the state of motion in opposition, known as incandescent luminosity, appears to travel through high octaves of integrating matter, which man calls empty space. Or what? I swear I ain't make this up. I swear I ain't write this. Huh? Ether. Right? Calling the space ether. Just like Owaspy did 45 years before. Hold on one second, Chuck. All right. My bad. Man's speed of light is the speed at which the state of motion in opposition, known as incandescent luminosity, appears to travel through those high octaves of integrating matter, which man calls empty space, or the ether of space. And remember, we were looking for a fluid that sublimates physical material, right? Because you would have to put it in motion and then it condenses. Because of that condensation, or that densing, that bringing together, right, of motion, different elements and particles rub past each other and cause friction. That is the source of your energy and in a charge of any type. Motion. And the ether of space. Huh? This measure of light is but the high measure of a great range of apparent speeds, all of the elements of matter in all states of motion are but orderly and periodic variations of one substance, light. Wrong. Wrong. Light is a result, not a cause. He's wrong. So what is all of the elements of matter in all states of motion, right, are but orderly and periodic variations of the one substance. What is that one substance? It is the ether. And what does ether do? Let's go look it up real quick. Hold on. Here we go. Eth or ether is the what? The solvent of corporeal material. Anything material at all that can be seen, ether is the solvent. It is because motion acting upon corporeal material dissolved in ether. This is why you can't see space. This is why it appears to be black. It's actually transparent. You're looking past it and through it, like looking through a cup of water. So it distends things behind it. Ether is the solvent of corpore. So when it tell you that all of the elements of matter in all states of motion are but orderly periodic variations of one substance, notice that you need to know now that that substance is ether. Remember this, 1881, watch this. As what? As water is the solvent of salt, so is ether the solvent of corporeal or physical material, anything with form. Even the elements, of which what? Latter, hydrogen is one of the most sublimated. What y'all need to understand is y'all gonna have to put some respect on OWASP name. First of all, let's get into the fact that hydrogen, here go the periodic table of elements. OWASP told you in 1881, right, that the most sublimated material, right, because remember, it's the most sublimated, the most rarefied material, produces hydrogen as its most sublimated element, right? What y'all got to understand is OWASP is dropping this information before it was known. OWASP is dropping this in 1881. Science didn't figure this out for a fact, right? Till 1925, the same time that the universal one is being dropped, they just figuring out that hydrogen is one of the most sublimated material in all of creation. Number one on the periodic table. Now it should make sense to you why your world, right, is predominantly hydrogen. And hydrogen based. It is the most sublimated. How do OWASP know? Right? Let's go show that nobody knew this. till 1925. Hold on. Watch this. I'm going to show y'all something. Hold on. Let me show y'all this. This is from Gemini. Google search real quick. Right? AI said, what year did science definitively prove that hydrogen was the most abundant element in the universe? Right? The year that science definitively proved established hydrogen as the most abundant element in the universe was 1925, thanks to the groundbreaking work of astronomer Cecilia Payne Gaposchkin. But Owaspia told you this in 1881. How? How? Real talk. How they know about the ether? We could see where his dog would have got some of this from, right? At least something like Owaspia is out there. You dig what I'm saying? To where he could have really drawn some of these inspirations from, but I don't think he did, because if he got it from Owaspia, he would say certain things certain ways. He would have a certain speech about it, and he doesn't have it, right? He would say certain words. He would have certain concepts that are faithist concepts, and he doesn't have them. You know what I mean? He got some of them, you know what I mean, but not the ones that we would, that would set you apart from just any other good person in the world. He said, as there are innumerable states of motion of the substance of light, so are there innumerable so-called speeds of light. All of the elements of matter are spread out progressively in varying states of simultaneously decelerative and accelerative motion in opposition on 10 octave waves like successful tones of music. All motion in opposition is simultaneous in its opposition. The state of luminosity belongs to all of the elements, right? Correct. All elements produce sound, right? That is a science called sonodatification. Every element produces its own sound and color. It is periodic and orderly in its variation, as the elements are periodic and variable in their integrative weight or mass, their atomic weights. Matter, which is apparently non-luminous, is simply matter which has become sufficiently retarded generatively and sufficiently expanded radiatively to bring it below the range of motion in opposition, which produces the appearance of luminosity. Let me read. Matter, which is apparently non-luminous, right? Matter that don't give off any light, right? It's simply matter which has become sufficiently retarded or lost generatively and sufficiently expanded radiatively to bring it below the range of motion in opposition, which produces the appearance of luminosity. Is this the same thing that happens in the sun's coronal area or its atmosphere? All solids of matter are but integrated light. The the generative units of which are sufficiently retarded in their motion and their resistance to integration sufficiently extended in magnetic orbits. To bring them below the range of state of apparent luminosity. Zero line of pressure. This is a direction of increasing pressure. Now I want you to notice the orbital, centrifugal, spiral, vortexian force and pattern of the circle, right? And once you stretch it all the way out like this, it looks like a snake, right? But if you folded it on itself, right, it would be a circle. One of the greatest forms of creative force. Okay. Remember they talking about that opposition, even in the brain, one moving one way and the other moving the other way, or on the left and right hemispheres, right? All right. He explains that as, right, he says this is a line of zero pressure, right down the middle, right where you see where they meet in the middle. That is where you will have no force, right? He says evolution of electric orbits which form nucleocenters of contracting systems, or the centripetal force, gravitative. It says it's stored in-house. Wait. Also, they call this evolution of the electric orbits which form nucleocenters of contracting systems. But it's also said de-evolution of electric orbits which extend nucleocenters of expanding systems. So centrifugal and centripetal. This is the in and the out, the yin and the yang, the positive, the negative, the male, the female, in and of the entire vortexian motion. But it says interelemental electric energy is simply an overbalance electrically and underbalance magnetically within each tonal system. These opposed and unequalized energies are locked into their respective states of opposition by opposing pressures. He says inertia is the storehouse. Inertia, where the equilibrium happens in the center. Inertia is the storehouse of the illusion of matter and form. External and internal pressures become one in inertia, correct? Because of orbital and non-orbital, or orbital and axial, or centrifugal and centripetal, or accelerated or decelerated, or you dig what I'm talking about, where they meet, they are equalized or create a point of inertia, right? It says the law is opposition is a characteristic appearance of all effects of motion. Opposition is a characteristic appearance of all effects of motion. So because there is motion on the wing of the plane, it causes lift. Opposition. There are no opposites. That's different. opposition, not opposites. Of any two opposing forces added together make one. Damn. There is an illusion of substance due to states of opposing motion of the two apparently opposing forces of the one substance. That one substance is ether. The illusion of form and solidity intensifies as opposition, but increases towards maximum opposition line, and speed increases. Right? The law says electric energy reproduces itself by induction and dissipation at an angle of 90 degrees to the lines induction and conduction. Well, 90 degrees to the perpendicular. You dig what I'm talking about? On our planet is what we call magnetic north. Due north. The law, magnetic lines of force depart from the line of direction of electric and also magnetic forces at 180 degrees. Pure 180 degrees is a what? A circle. Put 180 degrees, put 180 degrees. We have 360 degrees, which is a vortex, a spiraling center of creation. Right? And notice that the electric energy is moving at half what the law of the magnetic force is. Matter is appearance due to preponderance of electric force. It disappears through the preponderance of magnetic force. Ooh-wee. Right? And I think that's where we're going to go ahead and end it. I'll probably get back into it. Right? Because this next chapter is fire too. Thinking is registered as matter. Right? I think we're going to go ahead and end it right there, man. What y'all got going on, jelly birds? What's the word? You dig what I'm saying? Talk to me. Y'all get anything up out of that? Y'all got anything up out of that, man? Hit me with some ones in the chat. Hit me with some fire emojis. Hit me with some vortexes. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all got a little something up about that. You know? And I ain't going to keep you long because I know that's a lot of information to kind of take in one sitting. And, you know what I mean? We want to just spark the mind early, keep it going, you know what I mean? So you can, you know, shed some light into somebody else's life today, you know? Positive thinking leads towards positive actions and deeds. So we just try to start it off cracking, thinking about some good stuff early in the morning off this cushion is coffee. You hear what I'm saying with Cosmonia, man? You dig what I'm saying? Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute, 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 salute. All the faith is coming through. You dig what I'm saying? Let me see. Is they messing with my stuff? Yeah, they messing with my stuff. But yeah, they messing with my everything right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this video real quick on your boy. A little information on Walter Russell. And hold on 1 second. Just get into a little information, background information, overall idea on him, and show how, you know, he was ahead of the game, just like y'all are. You know, real talk, y'all. You light years ahead of the game. Further than, you know, most so-called spiritual people and all this stuff today, man. If you understand how creator works, you got to understanding that is can't be taught. It is the point of science. It is the point of spirituality to attempt to understand Creator and how it works in everything. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Love, light, balance, peace to the Creator gang, man. CGG, FGK, man. Big bruh. Big Anakwakaiki, the cloud kicker, man. I'm up out of this thing, hey, man. We just going to go ahead and play the video real quick. And we out of here, y'all. Y'all breathe in. Let that light in. Because I'm Cosmo. I'm out.
Open a book from 1927 that, honestly, tried to rewrite the rules of reality itself. It's called The Universal One by Walter Russell. And it's this wild blend of science and, well, metaphysics. It was a super controversial vision of the cosmos back in its day. Now, it's a dense read, for sure, but the ideas at its heart, that's what we're going to explore.
Right from the get-go, the publisher knew this book was a huge gamble. I mean, this quote from the original preface, it just sets the stage perfectly. They knew they weren't just selling a book, they were backing a fantastic dreamer. His ideas were so out there, they basically came with a disclaimer. It frames the whole thing as a message meant for a future audience, for tomorrow.
And yeah, that focus on the future was definitely necessary. When the Universal One first came out, it got way more criticism than praise. Let's be real, the scientific community just wasn't ready for a book that was mixing physics with concepts like a universal mind. But Russell and his publisher, they pushed on, convinced that even if the message was rejected today, it would find its people tomorrow. So right away, you've got this classic story, the lone visionary up against the establishment.
So what was this big idea that caused all the fuss?
Well, it all boils down to the foundational principle of his entire worldview, something he simply called the Universal One. Okay, so this is where Russell's work just completely flips our normal view of reality on its head. He says, look, the universe isn't made of billions of different things. Stars, rocks, people. Nope, it's all just one single, formless, thinking substance, a universal mind. Everything we see, everything we touch, is just a temporary expression of this one single conscious reality.
And if you really follow that idea, the implications are absolutely staggering. I mean, if everything is just one substance, then the space between you and me, the idea that you're separate from the chair you're sitting on, it's all an illusion. Individuality, dimension, separation, none of it is fundamentally real. As Russell says, everything that is of everything else that is. We are, quite literally, one.
To make this easier to grasp, Russell uses this really great analogy. Picture bubbles swirling around in water. They have a clear form, right? A shape. They look like separate things. But what are they really? Just water in motion. The second that motion stops, the bubble is gone, but the substance, the water, is still there. For Russell, we are those bubbles. You, me, the planets, the stars, we're all just temporary forms created by motion in the one great substance of mind. Okay, so if the universe is one thinking substance, how does anything actually, happen? How do you get form out of formlessness? This is where Russell talks about the engine of creation itself. For Russell, the force that drives the whole show is thinking. But, and this is a big but, he doesn't mean it like we do, like a biological process inside our heads. For him, thinking is the fundamental mechanical force of the universe. It's the action that causes all motion. The entire cosmos, from a galaxy down to a single thought, is just the universal mind thinking an idea into a temporary form. And this process of thinking works like a cosmic pulse, a dance between two huge opposing forces. On one side, you have electricity. That's the generative, life-giving force that pulls inward and builds things up. On the other side, you have magnetism, its total opposite. That's the radiative, expansive force that pushes outward and dissolves form. The entire rhythm of the universe is just a constant back and forth between these two. The law that governs this cosmic dance is what Russell calls the sex principle. Now, before you jump to conclusions, this isn't about biology. For him, it's a universal law of balance. It's the principle that describes the rhythmic exchange between the building up force of electricity and the breaking down force of magnetism. This constant push and pull, this seeking of union and balance, is what drives all motion and all creation. This quote just nails the whole idea. See, the universe isn't some static thing that was created once and that's it. It's a constant, rhythmic cycle. It's like a giant pendulum swinging from a state of total rest or inertia out into the expression of energy and form, and then swinging right back again. Generation and radiation, life and death, appearing and disappearing. It's a cycle that just goes on and on forever.
So, we have a single thinking substance and a cosmic engine that gives it form. But is the engine just winging it? Or is there a plan? Is there a blueprint for the material world?
So, forget what you learned in chemistry class for a second. In Russell's view, elements gold or oxygen or carbon, they aren't fundamentally different things. They are all the one substance, just in different states of motion. Think of them like musical notes on a huge cosmic scale. What makes gold gold isn't what it's made of, but the specific rhythm and pressure of its unique motion.
And Russell organizes this whole cosmic scale to a cycle of 10 octaves. It starts in the first 4 octaves. He calls this the unseen universe, where matter's just starting to come together. The whole cycle hits its peak in the 5th octave, at carbon. That's the point of maximum stability, maximum integration. After carbon, the journey reverses. In octaves 6 through 10, matter starts getting more and more radiative, basically dissolving back toward that state of rest. And the guides for this whole process? The inert gases. He calls them master tones, and they act like the silent record keepers for each stage of the cycle.
You can really see this cycle of creation and dissolution when you look at the elements themselves. Take an element like hydrogen. It's on the generative upswing. It's just getting its act together, starting to take solid form. The journey peaks with carbon, the star of the show, the pinnacle of material form. But from there, the pendulum swings back. Elements like radium are way over on the radiative downswing. They're unstable, they're actively falling apart, releasing their energy back into the cosmos.
Okay, this is all really fascinating cosmic stuff, but so what? What does any of this have to do with us? Well, this is where Russell's philosophy comes crashing down to earth. He argues that understanding this cosmic blueprint isn't just some neat intellectual exercise. It holds the key to unlocking a whole new level of human potential.
So what is this new power? Russell calls it the ability to think in light. And that's really the ultimate goal of his entire teaching, for us to move beyond our limited physical senses and begin to understand the universal language of creation itself.
And the promise of this way of thinking is, well, it's immense. Russell makes this incredibly bold claim. He says that once humanity truly gets these principles, we can replicate anything nature does. Discoveries wouldn't be accidents or trial and error anymore. They would be the result of direct, creative knowledge.
He really believed this understanding would kick off a new cosmic age. In this age, we could transmute elements at will, the old alchemist dream of turning lead or carbon into gold. We could create limitless, clean energy just by tapping into this cosmic rhythm. And maybe most important of all, humanity would finally evolve from a God-fearing species, scared of the unknown, to a God-loving one, living in conscious harmony with a universe that he believed is based on love and balanced exchange.
It's a beautiful phrase, isn't it? Think in light. But it's also pretty abstract. What did Russell actually mean by that? How is a person supposed to do that?
He saw it as a shift in the very frequency of our own thoughts. See, most of us spend our lives in the low speed of objective thinking. That's the world we see and touch with our 5 senses, a world of separation and objects. Thinking in light, he said, is the ability to shift gears, to access the high speed of our inner intuitive mind. It's a state of inspiration, of ecstasy, where that illusion of separation just disappears and we connect directly with the universal mind.
And so, that leaves us with the massive, provocative question at the very heart of Walter Russell's entire life's work. Is the solid, dependable reality that we experience every single day, is it nothing more than a temporary illusion? A beautiful, complicated pattern created by the thinking motion of a single, universal substance? That is the message for tomorrow that Walter Russell left for all of us to think about.
Y'all breathe in. Let that light in. Because I'm Cosmo. I'm out.